So, hello everyone. This is Archana Priyadarshini, Assistant Professor in the Department of IC, Canada Engineering College. Let's look into the concept of XML. XML is Extensible Markup Language. So, it is a meta markup language and it is used to define the markup languages. We have got many such meta markup languages like SGML, and these markup languages can be used to describe a wide variety of document types. So we have learned so far the purpose of HTML. So we had used HTML in order to describe the layout of information in web documents. And for this purpose, HTML used to provide a collection of tags and attributes. So user was restricted to use the set of tags and attributes. There is only predefined tags and attributes. With regard to XML, so XML provides flexibility in describing these tags and attributes. So XML is one of the most important among the various technologies used to develop, basically to support the World Wide Web. And it has got a collection of related technologies which were developed by World Wide Consortium and a set of document type definitions. So XML schema, it provides more elaborate way to describe the structure of XML documents than DTTs. So we have used XML, and this XML was designed to be much more a simplified version of a standard generalized markup language, and it was not meant to be a replacement for HTML. Just because HTML is just a markup language that is used to describe the layout, whereas XML is a meta markup language that provides a framework for defining specialized markup languages. Let's compare the differences between HTML and XML. The first point is it is used to display the data. HTML is focused on how data looks, that is, it concentrates on presentation. Whereas XML is mainly targeted to transport and store data. It focuses on the meaning of the data. It is a universal data interchange language, and XML is not a markup language at all. It is a meta markup language that specifies the rules for creating markup languages. So in XML, we do not have tags, but we can define the own user-defined tags. In XML, do not have predefined tags. We can define user-defined tags. Second point is about the markup language. Okay, third point is about the case sensitivity. As we know, HTML is not case sensitive. We can include any format for representation of tags or attributes or any elements, whereas XML is case sensitive. It has got a lot of difference when compared to the case that is used for a particular tag or an element. In XML, we usually write with a simple text editor. In the same case, we follow it in HTML also. While designing any HTML code, we write it in a simple text editor. And in HTML, it is basically presentation language, whereas XML it is not at all a presentation language. In HTML, we have got predefined tags. In XML, it concentrates on the user's development. HTML, there is no need to use a closing tag. By default, it assumes, whereas XML gives importance to the order as well as the nesting or closing of tags. HTML is static because it basically defines the structure of the document, whereas XML is dynamic, and because it is used to transport the data, it is used to carry the values of the data and represent and give it to the end user. HTML does not preserve white spaces, whereas XML preserves the white spaces. So these are some of the differences between HTML and XML. So the next, let's look about the motivation that got into XML. So in HTML, both the tags, semantics, and the tags itself, they are fixed. HTML is widely successful in disseminating documents across the net. Though it can be disseminated, its conversion is quite obvious. It is very difficult to extract the meanings in case of HTML. So this led to the development of XML. Mainly, XML focuses on ease of data exchange, and we have got user defined tags wherein user can express their own way of defining the applications, and it is a meta markup language for describing the markup languages. That is, it provides some rules to define the markup language, and it has also got a facility to define the tags. So there is some format or structure to include the tags. Every XML document has got a single root element, whose opening tag must appear on the first line of the XML code. All of the elements of XML document must be nested inside the root element. So as in HTML, we also can give comments in XML. There are different ways of including the comments in an XML code. Next, let's see the goals of XML. So directly, there is no translation required. It is basically such a code, and it can be easily transformed over the net. And it has got wide variety of application, that is browsing, content analysis, etc. It is easier to write the programs that process XML documents, and we can validate them. And it is readable. So next, let's list out some of the features of XML. It is not rigid. It has got some flexibility in defining each and every element. Next, it is extensible. We can nest different elements, and it is mainly used as a part of a validation. And it has got a DDT, document type descriptor. We have already studied this in the HTML. DDT is a set of DTD is a set of structural rules called declarations, which specify a set of elements and attributes that can appear in a document. And it also provides entity definitions. The use of DTD is related to the use of an external style sheet for HTML documents. And why do we use external style sheets? They actually impose a style or uniform style over the collection of documents. And we're using DTD. Why do we use DTD? It is used when the same tag definition is used by the collection of documents. And this DTD can be embedded in an XML document whose syntax rules it describes, in which it is called as an internal DTD. And we have got two varieties, that is internal DTD as well as external DTD. Let's not discuss over this more. And whatever element declaration that happens in DTD, it specifies the structure of one particular category of those elements. So there can be a root, and we can define the form of an element declaration for elements that contain elements. There is some standard format. Okay, that we can see it in DTT. Next, it has got a wide variety of application. XML is used for extraction, conversion, transformation, and integration, and it can be modeled using doc, document object model, where we have seen this DOM in our presentations. It has got a root element. Below that, we can define some child elements, parent elements, and then child elements. So how we can write a HTML is basically we can include certain predefined tags. For if you want a header, we can include a particular level of heading, and it is case. It does not matter about the case in HTML. And we can also define this. The same thing can be written in XML as by the user interpretation. That is, if you want to say an application it belongs to a speaker, we can give it a speaker tag. Okay, and within that we can specify the elements. That is, the first name consists of what, last name consists of what. So user can define her own way of describing elements and tags. And since it follows a DOM, it has its XML. It has got a XML tree, and where it starts at the root element, and the branches will move from root to parent, and then the child elements, and they may be sub elements. So like this. So we have got a root element. A root element here we have defined it as bookstore, and there is a parent element called book, which has got attributes called category. And the parent element can have child elements, like it can have the book can have title, it can have author, it can have year or price. So these are the sub tags which can be present, and each of them has got an attribute plus the values associated with it. So this is how DOM is defined, or a XML tree is defined as a DOM. Here we can see that we have in an XML we are going to follow this format. That is, first of all, we have to define a prologue that tells you the version of XML plus the encoding style. So the first line in any XML code is XML version name, and then code encoding along with the encoding style. Next, after this root element, after this prologue, we are going to specify the root element, that is bookstore, and then we are going to have a parent element along with the attribute called category. This book can have still child elements, like book can have title, author, year, and price. So this is how it can be defined in an XML code. And you should remember these points. XML can separate the data from HTML, and it is used to exchange data. It is used to share data. It is used to store data, and also it can be used to create new languages. So in an XML, we can specify the start of the tag and be sure that you close the end tag. And these tags are called as markups. It can be used to mark a portion of the text as a particular tag. Now tags must be balanced. So if we have got a single open tag called person, there should be a corresponding closing tag immediately after defining the description between the tags. And tags are defined by the user, and it should there is no such predefined tags in XML. So this is an example for user defined person element, created element or person, and within person we have specified the elements, sub elements called age, email, and name. And we have to follow some standard rules in order to define some XML elements. That is, the first point is regarding the names. It can contain letters, numbers, or other characters, but should not start with a number or underscore, and it should not start with the letters called XML, which defines their own language. So this is one example of how we can define the XML code. We have got a table in order to describe. Within the table we have mentioned certain elements like people. There are 4 persons. These are child elements created, and for each child elements, okay, it has got a certain subtags like name, age, and email. So we are creating a 3 persons structure. 3 people whose name, age, and email ID is mentioned. We are creating a structure for 3 people in a table format. XML tags are case sensitive, and with XML the white space is preserved. So you just observe the order in which the tags are specified. First we have got the bold tag, then italicized, and next you need to close the italicized tag, immediately closing tag, that is italicized, in XML. So whereas in HTML this is allowed. The swapping of the tags is allowed in case of HTML only. So the next program is about XML document, where I have to store the information about a student in an engineering college, and the information pertaining to the students is described as should contain USN name and name of the college, branch, year of joining, and email ID. We need to have a document of 3 students and create a CSS style sheet. So far we have seen about the basics of XML and HTML plus CSS. So here we are going to create a CSS style. For student, we are going to create a block, 3 blocks for each student, and for each student we are going to specify a style. The font size is 16 pixels, font color is pink, and background color is green for the entire page of the student. Next, for the header section, we are going to specify certain formats here: the font family, color, and font size. Here we have also included these cascading style sheets for a single student. You can observe for each student we are specifying different style sheets, background color along with the display. So the entire student block, entire student information of a particular student should be displayed as a block together. Next, you can also observe this applies to the second person, and it is displayed together all the values of USN name, name of the college, branch, email ID. Everything is included as a single block, and we are going to specify some style sheets. That is, we are specifying some properties for each student, and we can observe that here for each element, maybe name or USN or name of the college, we are also giving some properties including font family or font. So these are the elements that we have included: name, college name, branch, joining year. So far we have seen the CSS style sheets. Next is about the XML code. The first slide describes about the XML prologue. Next you have got a reference. We have to include this reference of the style sheet because it is stored separately in using a href attribute in our XML style sheet. So this href contains the file name of the cascading style sheet stored. And you should also mention type as text/css. So what you're going to do here is you're going to create a structure, basically structure of student, and within the student block you have got the data of 3 students. Student 1, okay, its heading, USN name, college name, branch, joining year. See, these are all the values for a single student. Likewise, create for the second, for the third one too. Okay, so this completes the entire XML code. And when you just observe the execution, so let's see the execution of this program. Assume you have got components XAMPP server along with Apache, and if you're executing in your Apache, it is Okay, if you just restart these services, you have to restart the services. Now in case if you're using just the WAMP server, and if you want to run your program, any program on it, you have to just stop all these services. If you just infer from the WAMP icon, you have all these components already been there in it, and this Apache component uses some ports. Okay, the same port is used by this XAMPP server too. So you have to stop all the services under XAMPP and then restart all the services in WAMP. Then locate your code within the WAMP folder. Just locate where is your WAMP server. So you can infer that here there is a WAMP folder. Within WAMP you have got www. See that you include the programs there. And in order to run the this particular program, just open the local host under WAMP icon. So while with this you're moved to the local host, wherein you can see the execution of the result. Just mention the program name. So you can observe this is the result. We have created a student block, and within the student block again there are 3 different blocks for each individual person. So each of these blocks we have given style sheets, the different font family and font size and font color. All these are included, or even though the font size is increased, it is included under a block. Okay, so all these details are displayed as a block in a web page.